Joining us for today's event, Actionable Insight 10 Ways to Improve Your Business. I am Angela Walsh, Customer Success Manager at BrainCell, and I will be your host for today. Also on the line, we have Greg Swallow, Director, OEM Relationships and Resellers at Sage Alerts and Workflows. Greg has been part of the Sage ISV community for 35 years and is a recurring speaker at Sage events and welcomes everyone to also join him at the upcoming Sage and third-party applications conference beginning tomorrow, July 21st. Glad to have you here, Greg. Okay, we're
Thank you.
covering a lot in a short amount of time, so let's jump right in. Quick agenda. We will kick it off with a 10-minute discussion, followed by a 30-minute benefits and scenarios presentation, and 10 minutes of Q&A to wrap up. Just as a reminder, throughout this webinar, please type questions into the question box to submit them, and we will try to answer them during the Q&A. All right, take it away, Greg.
Perfect. Thanks, Angela. And thank you all for joining me today. I really do appreciate your time. I hope you find it interesting, informative, and really thought-provoking in what you're trying to do with your business and the people that are around you that run your business. So when we talk about actionable insights or Sage Alerts and workflow, we want to talk about automating the detection of critically needed information. So all day long, information is coming to you and you're accessing it, but what is critical and what is show-stopping for a business transaction? What is show-stopping for a customer experience? Those are the things we want to automatically detect them. And then what do we want to do? We want to automatically deliver that information, because it's nice to know that something's going on, but if you don't share that with the masses within your organization, be it internally or externally to your customers or vendors or partners, that information gets lost. So it's nice to have it critically needed, but if you don't share it with anyone, it's sort of useless. So how do we get it to someone? And then what do we want them to do with it? Now we've got that information, we want to automate the process of acting on that information. So as I go through this quick talk, I just want you to think about those three things. What information is happening with your organization? How do we detect it? How do we deliver it? And how do we action against it? So Sage Alerts and Workflow is a software that automates the if-then business process. So some people on the call are running Sage HRMS, Sage 300, Sage 100, Sage other products. And so this product, Sage Alerts and Workflow, interacts with each and one of those individually and also collectively, so that you can have a complete view of your enterprise with one solution. So if this activity or conditions happens, then do that. And think about that not only for your own working environment, well, what's the people doing around you that this could help as well. So for our 100, 300 customers on board, if a new order comes in, then what's the logical thing? Then send an invoice to a client. If a new order comes in, maybe we want to check the order quantity on hand. Maybe we want to check the AR status of the customer who's placed that order. So there's all different things that we can drill down on just when that new order came in. If a PO needs approval, then notify the CFO or notify accounting that someone needs to be approved because previously that customer was on an AR credit hold. If a client needs an overdue invoice, then put them on that credit hold. Right? So once we get past 60, 90 days, maybe that's the next event that you want to happen. If an item drops below 10% of reorder level, then create a PO or notify someone or have an action associated with a trigger event, if you will. If a repeat customer purchases less than 30 days, then notify the sales rep. So these are just some examples. And within your Sage product, you're going to get 65 to 80 different alerts pre-packaged available to you. For our HR customers on board, if you hire someone, then send them the employee onboarding material. In some states, there's about 18 different documents that an employee has to complete to get onboarded. That leaves true on the employee leaving your organizations. There's a series of documents that have to be fulfilled and filed with the government. So we want to make sure that all happens. And if they didn't happen in the appropriate amount of time, then who do we need to notify? What do we need to do? Who needs to be involved? So I won't go through all these, but because you're all going to get the presentation at the end as well. So what are the benefits of alerts and workflow? It saves you time, it makes you more responsive, and increase your knowledge. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to talk about statistically, the amount of time and energy and money that's involved with it. But in a day-to-day where you've got people moving in and out, not sitting at their desk, they're dealing with multiple different things within your organization, wouldn't it be cool to have a software that resides on your system that's thinking of as a smoke detector, yelling out to you, hey, you need to be aware of this. Hey, this customer's changed. Something's changed within the buying habits. Something's changed within your inventory that you need to be aware of based on your criteria that you set up, and have that sent to you, maybe sent to your phone because you're never sitting at your desk anymore. You want that coming to you right away. So quick poll questions if we could. And Angela, do you want me to read those out? Do you currently own an actionable insight solution? So yes, Sage Alerts and Workflow. B, yes, but it's not Sage Alerts and Workflow. C, yes, we own Sage Alert, but we're not using it yet. Or no, not that I'm aware of. So the poll is open. I got that information back now.
Not seeing
Okay.
a pull up yet.
No. Okay.
I
Well, let's move
apologize.
on.
I had seen a 33% said yes and 67% said they didn't
Okay.
know
No
that
worries.
it
We'll just
disappeared. Sorry about that.
no worries. No worries. We'll keep going. We will keep going. So I'm going to go through a bunch of or about 10 scenarios with you. It's actually 11, but I want you to think about again what you're doing in your organization and what the people around you to do it. So forms delivery. Every company runs on forms, whether it PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, SSRS reports, crystal reports, what have you. Everyone's dealing with data and moving it between themselves. Are you in an organization that's moving data back and forth? Are you printing something out and sending it to something? Is someone sitting there with a highlighter and going through the information that's specific to them and then sharing that document with someone else so they can do the same? Let's think of forms delivery as not delivering the haystack. I don't want all the data. I just want the data that's important to me. And I'm the CFO, so I really want the data that's, AR aging reports and my daily sales. And me in the hat of a salesperson, I want, what are my customers doing? What have they ordered that day? All that data resides in your ERP system, but let's have a solution deliver that to it. So if you're in a scenario where you want data or you're delivering data from a forms-based program, let's have the software use trigger events based on quantities, times, dates, what have you, or a variable change, and deliver that form out to you. And again, that can be in different formats, but it could be things from the beginning of the quote delivery to who gets the quote, who gets the invoice, the statements, the done notices. All these different documents are associated with your ERP. Let's have the software deliver it in a forms delivery. Are you doing exception management? Do you or your colleagues run a review report identifying exceptions in your business? Well, what's an exception? It's like if everything's working the way it's supposed to do, then it's not an exception. But what you want to deal with is what happens when an order comes in and the shipping information says pack in this configuration because it's going to a facility that doesn't have a fork truck, so I need it to be boxed in this format because it's going to be hand bombed. What happens if it's a COD order? Who deals with that? Who goes and collects it? What if it needs a proof of delivery information that's associated with it someone has to sign? Or an exception that, hey, this order, if it arrives by Friday, ship to door 5, but if it arrives on Saturday or Sunday, it needs to go to another building on door 6. So those are exceptions, and that's what from a business point of view, when everything's chugging away and doing exactly what it's supposed to do, life is great. If you miss one of these exceptions, then you've changed the customer experience, or you may have to go and have cost associated with bringing something back and replacing it or changing it. You've ruined the customer experience. So by having exception management, we're looking at anything that's changed within the buying habits or the order processing or the invoice or any area within the ERP solution and saying, hey, you need to be aware of that. And it's not you as the order entry person, it's you as the shipper, it's you as the AR clerk. Anybody that's associated with that document needs to know about that exceptions. So again, we may have people on the phone that deal with that today, but you have others within your organization who do deal with it. And here's a solution that can then help with that exception management. And some of you may deal with time responses, right? So we have a lot of situations where you're shipping direct to store, or you need to go to a DC before you go to store, and the orders have to be packaged in a particular thing. They have to be ordered by a date, they're shipped by a date, and there's a canceled by date. You may be in a scenario where you are allowed to only fill and kill. So if you can't complete an order of 100 units that was originally on the order, you only have 90, you're now able to ship that 90, but you're not allowed to back order those 10. So you lost that opportunity of sale. So having this information visible to you, and it's visible in a report format, perhaps, that delivers to all the shipping people or all the pickers and packers for the day in the morning. So they know what has to be picked and the time it has to be picked. It's at the end of the week, we send a report out saying, what did we miss? Right? So what didn't meet those criteria so that we can have a benchmark to be working against in better format. So time responses of anything that you've put a time date associated with it, from a creation date to a completion date, we can track either to alert that date, or we can alert the day before, or we can alert an hour before saying, hey, this is about to happen. This is important to you and your business. We just want to make sure you're aware that this is going to happen. So time response is going through. And then threshold monitoring. Lots of different thresholds that we deal with. Perhaps it's you know, how many sales calls were made today for HR people? How many documents need to be processed today? How many shipments have to go out the door? There's so many variables in business about what could be a threshold that we want to monitor. So let's look at where we can put those timestamps, date stamps, trigger events within our ERP or our HRMS system to have a threshold monitoring. So, you know, I'll speak of HRMS for a sec. If you have employees that are coming up and they've got WMIS certifications and they're about to be expired, or you don't have enough employees that are certified on health and safety, right? Those could be thresholds that we're dealing with. We can look at total sales for the day. Did they meet or exceed year over year, month over month numbers? What are our total AR invoicing? Are we outside of a threshold where we're comfortable from a bank point of view, from loans and collections, right? So there's all different things that are thresholds that we can create an alert around, and then they can be sent and notified to you. Do you deal with, or in your organization, assignments and approvals? Do you have requests like POs that sit on someone's desk for days to cause business delays in your business? So if you orders coming in, someone needs to approve the order because it has to go with a set of drawings, or it has to go with some sort of other builds, subcomponents that are brought into it, right? So someone needs to sign off on that because maybe it's an engineer who says, yes, the drawings are complete. Maybe it's the customer who has to say, yes, I accept the drawings or the product as designed, right? So there's threshold or assignments and approvals that have to go on. We want to notify you that those assignments and approvals are going to go on, both in its ERP and in an HRMS thing. So we have assignments and approvals. I need you as an employee to watch this video on on sexual harassment or health and safety and or security of our computer systems internally. Those are time-stamped events, assignments that I want all the employees of the organization to do. And so I'm going to send out alerts to you from HRMS to say this needs to be done. I'm also going to, when I get to a certain threshold of time where you didn't do that, I'm going to tell you as an employee, I'm also going to tell your manager that you need to get that certification done. And if you didn't do it, right, and we passed that threshold of time, then I'm going to send to your manager that this employee can't run that fork truck because their certification ran out. They can't be whatever the scenario was of that assignment. They can't do it until it's complete. So along the organization, someone has to do something. Do we just need to give them a nudge, right? Everyone's got, well, you're sitting here listening to me, you're all going to get 20, 30 emails coming into your inbox right now, right? Your voice message is filling up. So we're all busy doing things. But if you had a solution that's just populating up in front of you, just maybe it's a desktop pop-up, maybe it's an email alert to you saying, hey, you need to be dealing with this because of it's a time-stamped issue or it's assignments and approval. So think about that when you're looking at all the different things going on. So we're going to move to another poll question, I hope. So which of the following would you like to achieve by actionable insights? Select all that apply. So A, automate forms and document delivery, automate exception management, C, improve our timeline of response, D, real-time threshold monitoring, or E, streamline the approval process. And so I think the poll is open.
So you can select all that apply.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
All good?
It's good.
Do we have a quorum? Do we have an answer?
Can we go back to that slide there? Right.
Yep.
Oh, so 50%, right, automating form, 50% automating exception, 50% improving our timelines of response, and 100% real-time threshold monitoring. Very good.
There you go. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Excellent. Thank you. Onward up with. So reports distribution. Do you have staff who run and distribute organization analytical reports? These reports, we're just overwhelmed with data, right? We just love this stuff because we come in here and tell me my item sales by customer by region. Tell me my salesperson sales for the month versus quarter, month over year. Tell me the customer sales, each one of my customer sales on the last 3 months, right? So we generate reports. We generate them from a finance point of view, AR status, AP acknowledgement at the end of the day, all these different reports. Daily we run them. This is what we do. We absorb data. Wouldn't it be cool to set up a trigger and this, when you come in the morning saying, I just want this information sent to me. This is what's important to me. These are the things that keep me up at night, right? What's my bank balance? At the end of the day, can I run payroll tomorrow? I mean, those things are crucial for our customers. So we look at, all the different reports and then how do we distribute it to them? So I'll talk quickly about, you can get them by email. I'll send it to you by email, but I'm back to that scenario. Will I get 20 or 30 of them by the time you finish talking? So I may not see it even though you told me about it. Why don't I send it to your phone? Well, that's good. I'll look at my phone, right? So I'll send it through SMS so that you get an alert that this is going to happen. And maybe I'll just pop it up somewhere. And where can I pop it up? Well, I can pop it up in an office. I can also pop it up in a warehouse. So if you're sitting there with, pickers and packers and information that needs to be going for shipping, why don't we put a screen in that area that everyone can just tilt their head up and see what's going on in real time, right? What are today's shipments? What do I got to get out the door? When's the next truck coming? All those type of things. Do I have all my pickings done? Do I have any back orders that are associated with it that are going to happen? So reports distributing is who needs it? How do we get it to them? And instead of someone having to build a criteria and run it, we do it once and then we just use the software to distribute it or get that out there. So data cleansing, do you have bad data or missing data in your ERP, HRMS? You probably do. You just because that's what you do, right? Because if you've got dissimilar systems with around your ecosystem who have separate databases, there's a good chance that there's duplications of Greg Swallow in two of them, but one's Gregory Swallow, one's Greg Swallow, one's got an email address that's missing components of it, one's got a different ship to because I want, three different ship tos associated with me when I ask you to ship a product, right? I want you to send it to me at my house or me somewhere else at a hotel where we're doing talks. So there's always dissimilar data. Wouldn't it be cool to take the systems and just over the course of a day, just measure them up and look for exceptions? Where do these two databases not match? We have customers who run this on a daily basis. What changed within my database? That's a little excessive, right? But maybe over the course of a month, you want to just run this and make sure that you've got the same data across your enterprise. So if you're not interconnected and you're sharing silos of data or silos of information, let's share that all the silos have the same information in it, right? So some of the things we can do with Sage Alerts and Workflow is data cleansing. Inactivity detection. And this is a cool one, and for all your salespeople on board, because we hire salespeople today and make them account managers for regional managers, and they have somewhere between 350 and 500 customers. But we incentivize them like they do every salespeople on new customer ads, right? The new kills, that's where we're going to give you the biggest bang for your commission dollars, if you will. And so most salespeople historically don't want to pick on everyone, only focus on customers who have a fire going on. That's when they usually get in contact with them. Hey, there's something going on, something's happened. The customers reached out to the salesperson versus vice versa. So wouldn't it be cool to have a solution that monitors your customer bases and looks for anomalies? So I can say that your customers always ordered these SKU items, these 3 SKU items, and that these 3 SKU items have always ordered that at this level, at 10 units per SKU. If that variable changes in any way, alert the salesperson. Maybe they've added a new SKU. Well, what does that mean? Perhaps they got a new line, maybe there's an acquisition of a company, there's lots of different reasons. Or maybe they dropped a SKU and now you want to know, did your competitor get in there, right? Or the quantity changed. Well, is that line dying or the quantity got better, a higher number? Well, you're ramping up your business. These things are little nuggets of information we can send from the database from the buying habits of your customers. So we look at the last 6 months, look at the last 12 months of trend lines of what is that customer does and when do they change. If they've always placed an order with you every 45 to 60 days, if it gets to 70 days, let's notify the salesperson that, hey, you haven't seen an order processed through for your client. Maybe you want to reach out to them, make sure everything's all right, right? So there's all those types of things that we can use from inactivity data, which is just as important as active data, right? So what do I got? You've got a giant repository of amazing information. Now do we how to harness it to use it for our salespeople or for our customer satisfaction? So anything with overdue dollars, we get past 60, 90 days. You have quotes that are about to expire, because of pricing changes through shipping and all the challenges that we deal with today for gas prices. Most people are putting quotes, time stamping quotes for 14 days if it's a big ship, if it's a shipment of stuff, because we don't know what the variables are going to change for our landed cost of items. And so we want to maybe run a report for any old quotes that we've got in there, any customers that haven't ordered from us in the last 6 months. What can we rejuvenate from them? When was the last time we touched that customer, prospect, suspect? Inactivity data, a great use for Sage Alerts and Workflow. And then anytime, anywhere alerts. Again, you start the morning at 8, you go till 5:30 at night. you get data thrown at you all day long. You want to go away on your PTO, your holidays, but there's those 2 or 3 things that go on in your day that are just crucial to making you sleep at night and enjoying your holiday. So let's send some of the information to you, not all of the information, just give you those nuggets that you want. Let's send them to you on your cell phone or your home email address. Let's take any alerts that go to you and send them up to your manager or down to your staff around you, your other team members, so they're getting that information while you're off. All those types of things of anytime, anywhere alerts. All the information doesn't have to reside while you're sitting there at your desk. It can be shared with you. It also can be shared with your customers or your vendors. So if you've got customers who, hey, you got the order, process the order, here's an alert. Thank you very much for that order. Your order has moved to pick, pack, and ship. Here's your order. Your order has gone to shipping. Here's your alert that that's happening. Your order has gone to shipping, and here's the tracking number of the shipment going to it from the other alert. And then finally, back to you, maybe you want, hey, is there a pre-OD a proof of delivery associated with that? So those are types of alerts that can go and come back and forth, not only internally of your organization, but externally to your ecosystem around you. And then triggered updates. So I talk, and you'll hear me talk about triggers or date stamps or an event happening, KPI that's happening. But a trigger update is something based on an event that's happened. If a client is overdue, change their credit status. That's probably good, but that's not the right answer. Is if your customer has an order in-house and they're worth $100 and their AR status outside is worth $100 and their new inbound order is worth $100 coming in, that's $300, but you've only given them $250 worth of credit, right? So do we want to take that order? Sure we do, because that's what we do. But we also want to look at that $100 that's out in 60 days, right? So we want to notify the customer, hey, you've got an AR aging problem, but you also want to notify the salesperson that that's happened. They've got an AR aging problem. And then when we get to 90 days, maybe we do have to put that customer on credit hold, right? So there's all kinds of different processes in a trigger update. If this happens, then do what, right? So salespeople, end of the month, end of the quarter, we're all incentivized to let's put a sale on, let's give 10% off a stock that hasn't moved. We've just run a report in our inventory master files. We know that these products haven't moved based on alert. That said, we've got $1 million worth of stock in house that's been sitting here running, just burning cash for 6 months. Let's run a 25% discount on that. Let's promo that out to our customers, but the orders have to be placed with us by the end of the month. Those are type of events that we want to track and look for, because if a customer tries to place the order next month for that discount, they've missed that opportunity. You may give it to them, but you want to be alerted that that's happened. So think of those trigger events that go on with your organization, and what can we do to notify, and who needs to be notified, and what action do they need to be taken from a trigger update. So I think so. Yep. So another quick poll, if we could. So just going over those 11 that we just did. So how many yeses did you get? Like, that's important to you. So 1 to 3, this might benefit. You might benefit from this. 48, you can definitely use it. 9 to 11, which means everything that I talked about, you can actually benefit from. How soon can we get it? If you could just do a quick poll there, I appreciate it. You good, Angela? Getting feedback?
Yeah. Not quite. Oh, there we go. So, don't need it, none. Might benefit from it, 67%, and can definitely use it, 33%.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay. So how does it work and what does it do, right? So I talked about what it can do, the features of it. So it sits and monitors. We'll talk about databases first. So databases, we connect to the databases through .NET, ODBC, REST API, both JSON and XML, communicating to the databases of Sage products. So those are the applications that you have with Sage. But you also have other applications within your organization that aren't Sage products, but they all run on a SQL database or Providex pervasive database, some sort of database that they're running on. Is there data in those disparate systems outside your Sage role that you need to get data from and collaboratively work with it in the Sage information? We can use Sage Alerts and Workflow to tie in a multiples of different databases together and give you one holistic view of that data, so you don't have those silos going on. We can do this with cloud applications. So if you're with HRMS and you're using Survey Monkeys, or you're using Indeed or Monsterboard or things like that, we can tie that information down to it. If we're using exchange rates for financing from a global basis, we can tie in, exchange US dollar to X dollar tied into your system. So any cloud application that has an API component to it, we can use the application to process that information into it. On-premise invocations, and then websites. So perhaps you, from a website or your own website of your business, where you're getting information and customers are putting their hand up and going, hey, I'd like more information. Maybe you have inbound email exchange servers or things like that, where people are sending you help at your company, support at your company, info at your company. Maybe there's keywords that you look for that we should be looking for to make sure that they're being associated with a response person, right? Because the last thing you want is someone to go to your website going, hey, I'm really like some information on your product, and it gets sent into the abyss, if you will. And then who's responsible for that? Who gets that information, right? Because if you don't respond in a meaningful timeline, that prospect has moved on to another website. So monitoring your inbound email for help, support, info at those type of keywords, or keywords within the body of the text, is something we can use Sage Alerts and Workflow to route it to the right person. From your websites or external websites where you're getting information, monitoring that and getting it to the right person. And then how do we notify it? So, okay, I'm sitting there, I need to tell someone. Again, I'll send it to you by an email. You may not be there, so I better text it to you because I know you got your phone in your hand. But perhaps you want me to send it to an FTP site or secure FTP site. Perhaps you want me to obscure apps that you want me to deal with, where I'm going to notify something. And this is important if you've got, if you're on a building site in a construction world and you've got people out in the field and they need to get information, or you've got seasonal workers and you need to get information out to them. If you've got vast people in support out on the field, you need to get information to them. So we can use the software instantaneously to send information. Hey, you got that order through, or your inventories inbound type information. And then forms delivery, pretty much every form that a Sage product can, or really any other product can generate, we can deliver to the recipient or multiple recipients, and then copy in whoever we need to. So yeah, absolutely. At the end of the month, we create the invoice, or Sage creates the invoice, and we deliver the invoice out to them. We then send the statements out to them after that. Purchase orders we need to send to our vendors. We can deal with that. These reports can be done in Chris Reports, Microsoft reporting services, and then third party. So there's a lot of different reporting mechanisms that wrap around the ecosystem that are ISV partners of Sage. We can work with them as well in delivering that information out. So what we've tried to do as an endorsed partner or development partner with Sage is make sure that everyone that's part of that is associated with us, so that there's not a bottleneck, that you're going to get that information out. Then we do analytics, right? So we can capture that data. And I talked about earlier that, show me the products that haven't moved in 6 months, show me the customers that haven't bought anything in the last 30 days. create a chart for me. Send that chart to me because I'm a visual learner. Send me the trends. What is my customers doing month over month, year over year? Send me some insights from the tidbits of information that we need to know. Hey, maybe the customer's volume that they've been buying has escalated, gone up two extra units every month, and we haven't even noticed it because it's been a slow burn, if you will. So now we can actually look at it and say, hey, something's changed in the buying habits. So using analytics from the data with inside and sharing that out with the people that need it. And then update apps. So synchronization, multiple databases, whether they're Sage or disparate databases, SQL or what have you in the background, tying that all together, and then holistically tying them, making sure that the information is the same on both sides. And then so a user interface, when you get the software, and I encourage you to get the software, we'll talk about some different things at the end, but it is self-driven. It is a set it and forget it software. So once it's set up, you don't interact with it on a daily basis. It's usually one person who sets up the different alerts. As I say, depending on what Sage solution you come with, you'll get between 65 and 80 different pre-designed events for it. So the typical ones that a business would use are already pre-packed. And then because it's soft-coded, you can take one of those and edit it any way you want to make it more specific to your business, or use it as a format to write your own if there's something that you need to do. So it's 100% browser-based. The information sends out to it. It's all in one place from a software. Comes up on your screen, someone builds the alerts, and off you go. Again, set it and forget it, smoke detector for your business in the background. You're not interacting with it. You set up the charts, the reports, the workflow, the emails, the SMS. So everything is a step-by-step of how you do it. It's built in SQL. It runs under IIS. So all the things that from a security protocol, it comes as both a client server subscription model. So it's sitting with your Sage product. It can be hosted with your Sage product. So if you're using the Sage Partner Cloud or any of the partner clouds that are out there, it works in conjunction with their system as well, moving that forward. I won't go through these because you are going to get the presentation, but it really is just calls out some of the feature sets that they're native to the product. And then, of course, REST API. So this REST API is available in both JSON and XML. So anything that's wrapped around that you need to do, and I talked about website integrations like an Indeed or Monsterboard or those type of things, can all be tied in through REST APIs. I won't touch that one. It's available in a cloud model. It's available in a client server model. So we're looking at multiple databases, tying it all together, looking at your data holistically as you're moving information between yourselves, your customers, your vendors, and in your employees back and forth. And so final question, I believe, which of the following would you like to achieve in Actionable Analytics? Select all that apply. A system-wide auditing. B, automation, reports generation and delivery. C, improve the quality of your data. D, monitoring for inactivity. Or E, triggering automated updates in your ERP system.
Well, very nice. 33% system-wide auditing, 67% automating report generation delivery, 67% improving the quality of your data, 100% monitoring for inactivity, absolutely, and triggering automated updates in your ERP system, 33%.
That's great. That's fantastic. So with all that information and you just, listening to me here for 30 minutes, could you benefit from it? We sort of showed you could from it. How can you determine, can you afford it, right? So, okay, I'm interested. What does it look like? So be ultra conservative. How many persons in your team just spends 15 minutes a day doing that, right? So we've got multiple people in our organization. Each person's going to spend 15 minutes, but let's just pick on one person who's doing it. They're delivering reports. They're printing reports and then delivering them out to the people. That's a savings of $175 a month, right? So Sage Alerts and Workflow is $120 a month. So everything from alerting component of it, you can get as a subscription model, both HRMS, ERP, for $120 a month. If you add in the reporting module, right? So now I want to send out reports through Crystal or SSRS or that sort of idea, it's an additional $95 a month. And if you want to push things to an FTP site, workflow modules, we have a lot of people who send data down to printers, and that printer may not be in their warehouse. It could be in a warehouse on the other side of the world and or country, but we're writing to that API. So workflow modules. So you add that into it, it's $95. So it's pretty cost effective to get going with it, where you can start out with those 65 to 80 different alerts, depending on package, for $120 a month. That's pretty cool. But what's my next step? So we do offer, there's a promo at the end of this, but if you go to Alerts and Workflow, and invite everyone who's listening to my voice to do this, you can go and download the software, download version 10, install it on your software, and we'll generate out a 30-day license. It's a full functioning solution for you. It does both workflow reports and alerts. You download the event pack that you need, specifically 100, 300 HRMS, FAS, what have you. You download that and load it into your system. We have videos about how to do it, how to get it installed. All I need you to do is send me the name of your server, so I'll generate out a 30, 60, 90-day license, whatever it takes you to be comfortable with the product. All the information that you want on the solution is here, documents, videos, and that sort of idea. I'm also available to you with BrainCell to really drill into what you're trying to do as a consumer for what helps make your business be successful with the product. So we can look at different alerts, different events, different activities that you're doing, how it can help it. So we offer that out to people. There's somewhere about 12,000 customers in the Sage ecosystem running Sage Alerts and Workflow globally. So we've got a pretty good 20-year experience with working with the products, generational products of Sage, and also the ecosystem of Sage. So if you're running Sage 100 and you're using Scanco or Inventory Advisor, if you're using, all these different solutions that wrap around the product, we also have built event packs for them as well. So not only are you going to get your Sage ERP, if you're running HRMS, you're going to get that. If you're running CRM, you're going to get that. If you're running some other, so at any one time, if you look at this, we can actually give you like 300 or 400 alerts that are just coming from your system, and making sure your quality, the information that you're getting is meaningful and actionable, and and then deliverable. Who needs to deal with it? So I think that. So in wrapping this up, from my perspective, the system of actionable insight is the best means by which you can increase the responsiveness of your organization and differentiate yourself from your competitors. New logos for Sage. We're Sage Tech Partners, which means we access, as a lot of us do, the database before you get it as the customer. So any products that we build to Sage has been vetted out before you get it. So you're not going to be in an environment where everything's new to everyone. We've already done through the alpha and beta testing with Sage. So when it goes to GA or general release with Sage, our products, as all ISVs to a certain extent, will all be certified for that product. And I believe I will turn it to Angela for you to wrap up.
Yeah, so there are a couple of questions, and we're going to start off with those. How long does this take to implement?
Great question. So download and go. From put a timer on it. We can look at it now to get the software install. If it's a brand new install, download, install the software. Let's call that an hour to get it set up, because we want to tie it into your Exchange servers for emails or what have you. And then we want to look at it about 4 hours for event setup. And why is that? Because who do we want to send it to? What data we want to have? So we're suggesting, from the start of the day to the end of the day, we can get it installed and up and running with, 3 or 4 events, or, to get you out, to get you moving forward, and then just continue add events as you see fit to your business process.
Mhm. Another question is, do I reach out to BrainCell for this?
Absolutely, absolutely. We encourage you to work with our partner BrainCell. The orders processing information all goes through BrainCell, goes through Sage to get the product, and then they're going to be your first line of support to call if there's a challenge, so that they can interact with us. We from a support are supporting BrainCell, but we also support you in the background. So if there's a situation that arises, that we're not only educating you and making sure you're moving forward, that BrainCell is gaining that knowledge as well to make the next customer, a better experience for the next customer. So absolutely, everything would transfer through BrainCell.
Right, and we have another question. Is there a way to import data into the system, i.e. subscriber emails?
Sure. So we can do it from a data basis. You want to do it one at a time as an event happens. So I go to a website and I put my information in. I want to capture that information and maybe drive it to my customer master file. And that customer master file is continue to grow based on whatever. So yeah, we can certainly do an import in of data, either in a batch or in batch real time, if you will, sort of idea. As the event happens, it triggers an event to drive to update a file.
Okay. No additional questions. So thank you, Greg, for joining us, and thank you all for attending. We will share the recording. We will follow up with you later this week to get feedback on content and schedule any next steps. If you'd like to take advantage of today's special offer, all attendees here get 15% off alerts and workflow until September 20th. And make sure to reach out to us at growth@braincell.com. Have a great rest of the week, and thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.